In this next lesson, what we have are rectangles, so they're shapes, and there's going to be a length and a width. So on this first one is pretty much like a very simple problem. It's not really like what you're going to be doing. You're going to be doing a little bit more complicated things. My rectangle here has a length of 20, a width of 17. Okay. So to find the perimeter, that's when I find out how long all the sides are and add them together. So the perimeter of a rectangle is found by perimeter of any shape actually is found by adding the sides. Okay. So I have 20. Over here it'd be 17 because that's 17 over there plus 17. On top you'd have 20 plus 20, and then on the left you'd also have 17. So there are no variables here, so we can just add those together. So 20 plus 17 plus 20 plus 17 equals 74 inches. Okay, now area is a little bit different. Area is the space inside. So how many, and that's represented by square inches. So inches, and then we put a second power. And the area is the length times the width. And what I like to do is I make sure the length and width have their own parentheses. Okay. And then I'm going to empty those parentheses. I'm going to put 20 and 17. And all we need to do is take 20 times 17, which is 340. So that's the answer, 340. So again, perimeter is adding up the sides. The only operation is addition, and then area is the operation is multiplication. So now when we get to these on the back, they put variables in our dimension letters. Okay. So first thing I like to do, if I know this is 5, this is 5, and this has the expression 5 plus 2x, meaning I don't know how long it is, and I'm never going to know how long it is because I'm not given anything for x. So this is also the expression 5 plus 2x. Okay. Now remember how to find each of these. The perimeter is found by adding sides, and the area is found by multiplying the length and the width. So length times width, and then I make sure each dimension has its own parentheses because I will empty those parentheses. Okay, so the perimeter is found by adding the sides. So I have 5, and then the operations plus, and then 5 plus 2x. And then up here's 5, so plus 5. And then over here is 5 plus 2x. Okay, now I'm going to write my order of operations. So PMDA. So there are no parentheses. There's no multiplication operation because between the numbers we have, between here and here's a plus. Between here and here's a plus. This is a plus, this is a plus, this is a plus. So all the terms, the only operations addition. So multiplication, division don't apply. Now adding. Now are all these like terms? Okay, you got 5, 5, 2x, 5, 5, 2x. I don't think that they're all like terms because some of them have x's, some of them don't. So what I want to do is I want to go 2x plus 2x, and that is going to be 4x because the x is here. Okay, those would be added. So 4x plus, and then I'm going to cross those out. And then all the 5s don't have an x, so I add all the 5s together. So 5 plus 5 is 10, plus 5 is 15, plus 5 is 20. Okay. Now I still have that addition operation, but those are NLT, not like terms. So 4x plus 20 is the answer for that perimeter right there. Okay, now for the area, we want to empty out each parentheses. And my length is 5. The length's the bottom, and the width is 5 plus 2x. Okay, now parentheses. We have parentheses. Now that has just one value. Now this has two values. First off, make sure you know the operation. So between the 5 and the 5 is a times, and between the 5 and the 2 we have a plus. Okay. All right, so we have parentheses. This has one value, this has 2, but 5 and 2x, since that has an x and that doesn't, those are non-like terms. Okay, so we can't do the parentheses. So we do the multiplication. So we got to take the 5 times each one of these values in the second parentheses. So that's the distributive property. So I'm going to be taking 5 times 5, and I'm going to be taking 5 times 2x. Okay, now put what those equal. That's 25, and 5 times 2 is 10 with an x on the product. Okay, and remember the operation's always plus when we do that. So 25 plus 10x. There's no division operation. Adding, there's an adding operation, but those are non-like terms. So 25 plus 10x is the answer. So the perimeter is 4x plus 20, and then the area is represented by 25 plus 10x. Okay, now next problem. I have a length of 5x minus 9, but I don't like the minus operation. So that minus operation, again, I'm going to change it to plus, and since I'm subtracting a positive, it'll go plus negative 9. And right up here is going to be 5x plus negative 9, and right there is going to be 7. Okay? So the perimeter, of course, is found by adding the sides. So I have 5x plus negative 9, and then I add 7 to that, and then plus 5x plus negative 9, and then I'm going to add 7. Okay? So know your operations. Between the 5 and the 9, we have a plus operation. That's good. 5 and negative 9. Between the negative 9 and 7, we have a plus. Between the 7 and 5, we have a plus. Between the 5 and negative 9 is a plus. And between the negative 9 and 7 is a plus. Okay? So I know all my operators. Now, what are my order of operations? P, M, D, A. Okay, parentheses, I don't have any. Multiplication, I have no multiplication. Division, no division operation, just addition. However, I have all these additions, but only some of them are like terms that you can add together, okay? Some of them have x's, some of them do not. So what has the x's? Well, that'd be the 5x and the 5x. 5 plus 5 is 10 with x. Plus. Okay, then negative 9, 7, negative 9, and 7. Okay, you can use your number line. You'd start at negative 9, then you're adding a positive, so you go 7 to the right. Then you're adding a negative, so you go 9 to the left. And then you're adding a positive, so you go 7 to the right. You can cross out those 5 x's. Those are done. Okay, so again, these 4 have to be added. Negative 9, 7, negative 9, and 7. All 4 of those values need to be added because they are like terms. Okay, on these shapes, you can also use your calculator to add. So you got negative 9 plus 7 plus negative 9 plus 7. Okay, negative 4. Okay, and I still have an adding operation, but those are non-like terms, so that's my answer. Okay, now the area, you have your length times your width. Now empty those parentheses out. Okay, so my length is 5x plus negative 9, and my width is 7. Now, I got to know my operators. Between the 5 and the negative 9, I have a plus operator, and between the negative 9 and 7, I have a times operator. Okay. So, parentheses. Well, I have 2 values in that parentheses, but they're non-like terms because the 5 has an x and the negative 9 doesn't. So, we don't want to add 5 and negative 9. Multiplication, you bet, times. So, this 7 has to be times by everything in here. So I need to take 7 times negative 9 and 7 times 5x. Okay, positive times a negative is a negative, and 7 times 9 is 63. And 7 times 5 is 35 with an x. And the operator is plus between those. So we have negative 63 plus 35x. Now again, I still have the plus operator, but these are non-like terms. So that's going to be the final answer. Okay, then on the back side, I have 3x plus 2, so we'll have 3x plus 2 here. Now I have 11, so we have 11 here. Okay, area is found by adding the sides. Or no, sorry, excuse me. Area is found by length times width. Okay, so each gets its own parentheses. And the perimeter is found by adding the sides. Let's do the perimeter first. So I have 3x plus 2 plus 11 plus 3x plus 2 plus 11. Okay, so know your operators. 3 and 2 is plus, 2 and 11 is plus, 11 and 3 is plus, 3 and 2 is plus, 2 and 11 is plus. So it's all operators of plus. So P, M, D, M, D, A. Parentheses, you don't have any. Multiplication, you don't have any multiplication operation. Division, you have no division operation. Adding, well, yeah, you have adding operations, but all of these, the 3x, 2, 11, 3x, 2, 11, they're not all like terms. We have sets of like terms, but they're not all like terms. So the numbers, the values that have the x are like terms. So I add 3 plus 3, and that's 6 with x. And then the rest of the values can be added because there are no more x's. 2, 11, 2, and 11. 2 plus 11 is 13, plus 2 is 15, plus 11 is 26. So 6x plus 26. And even though you still have that plus operation, these are non-like terms. Okay, length times width. Empty the parentheses. Put your length, which is 3x plus 2. And your width, which is 11. Now know your operators. Between 3 and 2 we have a plus, that's good. Between the 2 and 11 we have a times. Parentheses, you have two values in that parentheses, the 3x and the 2, but they're non-like terms, so you can't take 3 and 2. If it was just 3 plus 2 without the x, I'd add them and say it's 5, but with the x we have to keep them separated. Multiplication, okay? So the 11 is being multiplied by this parentheses. That means you got to take the 11 times each term in the parentheses. So that's your distributive property, rainbows. So make it rain. So 11 times 2 and 11 times 3x. So 11 times 2 is 22. 11 times 3 is 33. And we want to put the x on the 33 product. Okay, so the operator is plus, always, when you're doing the distributive property rainbows. Okay, those are rainbows, distributive property rainbows. The products, the operator is always plus. So 22 plus 3x. Okay, now between here and here we have an operator of plus, but they're not like terms. That does not have an x, that does. So that's non-like terms. So there we go.